I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So, what's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
This episode is brought to you by Ferrero. Soccer's biggest stage is approaching, and Ferrero is making it easy to go all in. Pick any two Ferrero brands from Kinder Bueno to Ferrero Rocher, and you could win the $1 million grand prize, plus an exciting range of daily and weekly prizes. Don't miss your shot. Official rules apply. Learn more at goallinandwin.com.
Ever feel like your brain just won't click? Onnit Alpha Brain is a daily supplement engineered to support memory, focus, and mental speed. Made with science-backed ingredients, Onnit Alpha Brain helps you lock in, tune out distractions, and stay sharp. See what your brain can really do. Visit onnit.com and shop Alpha Brain to unlock your next level. That's ONNIT.com.
Pros, just because something on the job runs out doesn't mean you have to. Order it on the Lowe's app. My Lowe's Pro Rewards members get free same-day delivery on eligible orders over $25. Get the fasteners, hardware, or tools you need to keep the job moving. Order by 2 p.m. and get eligible in-stock items delivered right to your job site by 8 p.m. Members get more at Lowe's. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Subject to availability, restrictions, and terms at lowes.com/shipping terms. Subject to change.
I'm Richard Serrett. Join me on Strange Planet for in-depth conversations with the world's top paranormal investigators, alien abductees, Bigfoot trackers, monster hunters, time travelers, and more.
The handler one day told her this whole thing about how they've been terraforming on Mars and they're building a colony and they're recruiting specific people of specific bloodlines and specific talents and skill sets to go onto the planet.
On Richard Serrett's Strange Planet, we're redefining reality. Listen now wherever you get your podcasts.
The comments made by Amin Elhassan are made by him and him himself and nobody else, and not indicative of Basketball Illuminati, Tom Haberstroh, Anthony Mays, or any guest incorporated.
Guys, I was working the Blazers game on Sunday. It was a matinee game, 3 o'clock local time against the Wizards. So I'm working the play-by-play with Kevin Calabro, Lamar Hurd, and I'm feeling pretty good about the first half. We called the game. At halftime, the players are shooting, getting ready for the second half. And then all of a sudden, the whole Moda Center just erupts.
Yeah.
Cheering.
That's a fun experience.
And I'm like, what just happened? Did someone hit a half-court shot on the Jumbotron? Did Steph Curry show up and hit like a full-court shot or something like that? I look around, and it's just people losing their minds looking at their phone. And it occurred to me, no way, did UConn just pull off the upset? And Donovan Clingan, who's the two-time champ for the UConn Huskies, runs to center court. Phil, the security guard for the Blazers, has the game on his phone. And Donovan Clingan's like, whoa, what happened? And he's looking at the phone, and he got to watch the replay of it. Donovan Clingan is just jumping around like a kid on Christmas morning, flipping out because UConn just hit the shot of the century to upset Duke at the last second. And it was weird because it's Portland, you know, it's in Portland, and yet everybody was watching on their phone. That's how big this was. It was really cool.
Yeah, man. That's always a fun experience, especially when you consider things like that, like the players who are alums who are celebrating. I know every locker room, or at least it used to, we used to all do a little March Madness pool, but it was always ridiculous because inevitably it was guys picking their alma maters to do really well, right? Like Grant Hill would pick Duke to win it all. But you know who our clubhouse leader was in terms of winning March Madness?
Barbosa.
Amari Stoudemire.
Oh, Hall of Famer.
The Hall of Famer, that's right. He kept picking Florida.
Yeah.
That was right around the time Florida was a fucking machine.
Was that where he was going to go?
He's an Orlando guy, right?
Let me tell you something about my guy, Amari Stoudemire. He was going to go to a lot of places.
Oh, depends on the day.
That was the era of high school players going straight to the pros. And so there was a market for players to commit to schools that they had no intention of attending. Oh, we would have got Amari Stoudemire. Too bad he was too good.
Oh, no.
He ended up going straight to the pros. But as a guy who grew up in Lake Wales, Florida, Central Florida, he was a Gators fan.
Wait, so Amin, how many Hall of Famers is this for you now?
Let's see. Steve Nash, Grant Hill, Amari Stoudemire.
Steve Kerr not in?
Steve Kerr not yet, but he'll be in eventually. Jerry Colangelo, Rick Welts, Isaiah Thomas with the Knicks, but obviously he was already a Hall of Famer when I worked there.
You know what? When's Amin going to get inducted? That's my question.
Dude.
Or is this part of the Illuminati that you're not?
The Contributor Award.
Maybe he can give Doc Rivers acceptance speech.
It's like a dream come true. I remember going to Marquette camp as a kid, and one of the coaches asked me, "Hey, you, Doc," because I had a Dr. J t-shirt on, and the name just stuck. And here I am all these years later. I'm the same Hall of Fame as the Dr. J. Now, it's not Blake's fault. It's not Blake's fault. I had to go take this long to get there, but yeah.
But is it Blake's fault that you're in the Hall of Fame?
I mean, fault is a very loaded word there, Anthony.
Okay.
I still think it's a very interesting question, intelligent question that you ask.
I know everyone's wondering, so can you answer it once and for all? Which jersey are you going to choose? Is it the Celtics or is it the Milwaukee Bucks?
That's a very sophisticated question, Tom Haberstroh. I really enjoy your work. But I don't think we do that in the Basketball Hall of Fame. That's more of a baseball thing. I know you're a baseball guy too. But if I had to choose, I'd go in as a Sixer.
Yep, this is a big one for you, man. I mean, you got Amari. You're the hub of the wheel for all these. What is the 5 degrees of Amin Elhassan? Well, they're all Hall of Famers.
All 1 degree, man. All these guys are all 1 degree Hall of Famers right there. It's cool because it's like, for most of those guys, we knew, like, this motherfucker, of course he's going to be a Hall of Famer. By the way, you can extend that. I work for Tracy McGrady at ESPN. Rachel led the way, but we told him every day, "Hey, man, you're a future Hall of Famer." And he would literally be like, "Nah, man, come on. What are you guys talking about?" And then he was a Hall of Famer. Worked with Vince Carter. Vince Carter played for us at the Suns. He's a Hall of Famer.
My guy. Yep.
Yeah, your guy, Vince Carter. What other Hall of Famers?
Well, I can give you a future Hall of Famer.
Who's that?
Dan Hurley.
Oh, boy.
This guy is now in 3 Final Fours.
3 out of 4.
In 4 years. You know who else has done that?
Not me. Who else has done that? Well, this one's easy. I got you. Gino Auriemma's done it because he's had like 15 straight or whatever.
How about in the men's?
On the men's side?
Only.
John Wooden has done it.
That's right. John Wooden, Hall of Famer. Gino Auriemma, Hall of Famer.
Tom Izzo,
Hall of Famer, 3 straight, 1999, 2000, and 2001. Coach K, 5 consecutive Hall of Famer. And Roy Williams, 2002, 2003, and 2005 Hall of Famer. So, Dan Hurley, soon to be Hall of Famer. Obviously, we don't know if Dan is going to win another national title, but that alone is a miraculous achievement. Yeah. And Tom, so you didn't get to see this.
I didn't get to see any of it. And so the weird thing is, I didn't even see the headbutting weird forehead thing that Dan Hurley did until after, like the day after. And I'm like, wait, did this also happen after the game? Or was this a year ago? And I couldn't think of why this would ever occur after this game. Like, why is Dan Hurley...
Not after the game.
In the game.
After the shot.
Yeah.
With time on the clock.
What?
Dan Hurley walks right up to one of the officials and puts his forehead in his face.
Yeah.
As if to say, I fucking dare you to call a technical right now and give Duke points. I dare you to do it, you chicken shit. That's my editorialization. I don't have a fun voice like Amin's Doc Rivers. This is Dan Hurley.
I don't know what Dan Hurley's voice sounds like. That's funny.
You chicken shit? How about that?
Probably.
Sounds like Trey Parker and Matt Stone all of a sudden.
Come on, you guys. You're going to the Final Four.
Was he quarreling with that referee all game, or was he just hyped and this is what Dan Hurley does to celebrate?
Great question, Tom. I wish I could take you further inside the mind of Dan Hurley, but they didn't call a technical.
Did you guys listen to the radio call?
Bobbled it back for Sarr. Needs to get rid of it. Does for Caden. 7 seconds. Trying to throw it ahead. Deflected. Stolen by Connecticut. 2 seconds. It's Mullins up top for the win. Oh, he hit it. With 0.3 of a second to go. Malachi Smith ran off the bench. That should be a technical.
Oh, no.
The way he says that should be a technical foul reveals just how ashamed he was of the thought to begin with. That's the grasping at any sort of straw.
Which coach do you think is a bigger liar? I'm going to give you two options here.
Okay.
Joe Mazzulla, when asked what winning the Coach of the Year award would mean to him, quote, "I think it's a stupid award. They shouldn't have it." Or Dan Hurley, when asked about headbutting the ref, saying, quote, "I thought he was coming over to chest bump me and celebrate the shot."
Okay. You know what? You said Joe Mazzulla, and my impulse was just say Joe Mazzulla. I don't care what he said.
Yeah, I know.
No more answers
I know.
needed to enter.
I know. But he thought the ref was going to chest bump him for the shot.
What? It's such a ridiculous. Look, I'm just trying to think of the situation. It's like AI slop, right? Like shot goes in and the ref goes, oh, and he runs up and he chest bumps the head coach.
My assignment: uncover why the association inspires more conspiracy theories in volume and salience than any other U.S. sport.
You've heard of the Illuminati.
The truth is out there, but so are lies.
Your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them.
The NBA has always been controlled by about 8 people.
Denial is the most predictable of all human responses.
If you're only using 10% of your brain, you don't even know that you're using 10% of your brain.
The NBA Illuminati.
If coincidences are just coincidences, why do they feel so contrived?
The Illuminati.
But you start to follow the money, and you don't know where the f*** it's going to take you.
It is unspoken. They have influence among other players.
The NBA Illuminati.
I don't have time for your convenient ignorance.
Maybe I'm a conspiracist now as well. That's all it took. Oh, we got books, we got schools. You saw a video on YouTube.
Why my eyes, sir? You've never used them before.
We are the Basketball Illuminati.
This is Basketball Illuminati. I am Tom Haberstroh, and as always, I am joined by 5-star Illumin Army generals and future Hall of Famer Amin Elhassan and producer Anthony Mays.
What's up, Illumination? Thank you for keeping your third eye open. As always, you can support us at patreon.com/countthedings. That'll get you ad-free episodes and help us continue to produce the show. Also, check out our YouTube page at Basketball Illuminati. You can watch our Truth Teller interviews and Do You Believe episodes there. Please subscribe and continue to show your support. Thank you.
We've got Jason Timpf on the program. You know him from Hoops Tonight. You know him from X, YouTube, all of the different channels. Does an awesome job. Colin Cowherd as well at the Volume Network. He's going to join us to talk MVP and anti-tanking policies at the league. We're going to solve both of those issues later in the program with our truth teller, Jason Timpf. But first,
you are listening to The Agenda with Amin Elhassan and Tom Haberstroh. Amin, traditionally, how many people are allowed into the MVP conversation bar?
You know, there's not really a limit, Maze. There's a bouncer out front. He is checking ID. We don't let anyone under 21 or under a certain amount of wins into the bar. You got to have a certain amount of wins to get into this bar.
You have to play 65 games to get in the bar?
You know what, man? The MVP conversation bar was created before there was a 65-game rule. And unless you are really, really, really drunk and under 65, they're going to let you in the bar.
Okay.
Because once you get into the MVP conversation bar, folks, you got a bunch of people everywhere. There's some guys who are sidling up to the bar. There's some guys who are sitting on the couch. But the MVP conversation itself, the closer you are to that, the closer you are to winning MVP. So all the big-time guys are right there. They've all got a drink in their hands. But the guy in the middle, the guy holding court, telling the story that everyone else is wrapped in, that's your MVP, or at least your clubhouse leader. So as of today, it feels like a little bit of a conversation going back and forth between Victor Wembanyama, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Nikola Jokic chiming in here and there. I could see Jaylen Brown trying to move through the crowd to get closer to the center, but he keeps getting blocked off by the beefy shoulder of Luka Doncic. Also, Cade Cunningham was holding court, had a little too much to drink. They got him out on the stretcher. He got to go.
Is Kawhi trying to get in?
Kawhi's there, but Kawhi's leaning up against the bar. He's not close to the middle conversation. He knows it. He's just trying to order a drink at the bar. That's all he's doing.
Some apple martinis?
Apples do grow on trees, so yeah, sure.
Apple time.
Apple time.
Is Jalen Brunson in the neighborhood?
Donovan Mitchell,
Jalen Brunson. These guys are just holding their beers, admiring the show as it goes on.
Is Michael Finley there trying to take a drink out of Luka's hand?
You know, he told the story about why that happened, right?
No, I didn't know that.
So the story, according to Michael Finley, is everyone's celebrating, everyone's having a good time, and the social people wanted to take a picture. And so he was telling Luka, let me hold a beer so that you don't take a picture. I believe it was a non-sponsor beer that he had in his hands or whatever. But regardless, it was for the social media team to get their picture, not because he was trying to prohibit him from.
Little did he know he was creating a social media controversy of a different sort.
Mm-hmm.
Is Anthony Edwards in the MVP conversation bar, but he's in the bathroom taking a dump?
Taking a shit. Yes, absolutely. You read my mind.
Great minds.
With glee when he was asked that question. Oh, I was taking shit.
He's waited his whole life for someone to ask him that question. Jalen Johnson rushing up to the front of the line. Pardon me, excuse me, pardon me. It got to the bouncer. The bouncer was like, I'm sorry, but if fire marshal just said we can't let anyone else in.
Sorry, Duke. Time's up.
Scotty Barnes showed up, but didn't meet dress code.
I think we're ready to wrap that. If we're getting to Scotty Barnes of the world, you know?
Wow.
Dress code.
Tom's got a firm line in the sand, huh?
20 players, yeah.
You don't want to keep playing this game? You don't want to use theater of the mind to imagine who's in this MVP conversation bar?
I want to get to Jason.
Jason Tatum?
Oh.
He's not there.
Let's talk to Jason Timpf about the MVP conversation in a different light. Coming up right now is a truth teller. Back on Illuminati.
Hello, listener. It's your favorite butcher turned podcast producer Maze here to talk to you about ButcherBox. Going to the grocery store can be a huge pain. You're usually in a rush at an inconvenient time. You're waiting at the meat counter. You take a number. Maybe this place doesn't have a number. You're jostling with fellow customers. You're trying to get that ribeye you want or that nice piece of salmon. Maybe the butcher you're dealing with has a bad attitude or something. I don't know. That was never me, I promise, but maybe it happens. ButcherBox wipes away that entire stressful situation. For over a decade, ButcherBox has led the industry with meat and seafood that's antibiotic-free, hormone-free, and independently verified. Because when it comes to fueling your body, quality isn't extra, it's everything. Clean, whole protein means better support for strength, metabolism, and that steady all-day energy we're all chasing. And the best part is these premium protein options are delivered straight to your doorstep in vacuum-sealed packaging, allow you to pop it right in the freezer for whenever you need it. My favorite steak to get lately is the sirloin cap, also known as the picanha at your favorite Brazilian steakhouse. It's just as delicious as a New York strip, but at half the price, and the full roast is perfect for grilling and chilling. As an exclusive offer, new listeners can get their choice between chicken breast or top sirloin for a year or ground beef for life, plus $20 when you go to butcherbox.com/PYK. That's right. Your choice of chicken breast or top sirloin for a year or ground beef for life, plus $20 off your first box and free shipping always. That's butcherbox.com/PYK. Don't forget to use our link so they know we sent you.
Hey, listener, listen up real quick, okay? I know there's a lot of noise out there about hair loss. 10-in-1 shampoos. I'm old enough to remember when a 2-in-1 shampoo was mind-bending. What do I need other than shampoo and conditioner? You'll get random advice about hair loss. You're walking down the street, minding your own business. Some guy says, hey, Baldy, put some castor oil on your scalp. That'll fix it. Or an expensive clinic visit. You go in, get a consultation. That'll be $1 million, please. No, thank you. Hims cuts through it all with real, trusted treatments and 100% online process. Hims offers convenient access to a range of prescription hair loss treatments with ingredients that work, including chews, oral medication, serums, sprays, whatever you want. You shouldn't have to go out of your way to feel like yourself again. Hims brings expert care straight to you with 100% online access to personalized treatment plans that put your goals first. You find the right hair growth treatment for you with flexible subscription options, access to 24/7 provider support. And you know what? You cut out all that noise about hair loss. I'll just take the regular shampoo, thank you. Hey, you worry about your own hairline, buddy. I'm good. I got Hims. For simple online access to personalized and affordable care for hair loss, ED, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/basketball. That's hims.com/basketball for your free online visit. hims.com/basketball. Featured products include compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. See website for full details, restrictions, and important safety information. Individual results may vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride.
Hello, listener. Producer Mays here to talk to you about Quince Cookware. I know cooking can feel like a lot of work these days, especially when the temptation to order takeout is stronger than ever. But trust me when I say that quality cookware makes a big difference in your experience cooking at home. Quince has got top-tier pots and pans, like my favorite, the extremely versatile and easy-to-clean 3-quart stainless steel sauté pan that you'd expect to find at a luxury store, but for 50 to 60% less. You heard me right. High-quality materials for half the price. How could such a thing be possible? Well, Quince works directly with manufacturers, cutting out the middlemen and passing the savings on to you. Now, Quince even carries fine wine, from Napa Valley Vineyards to Dom Perignon Champagne, enough to fill the Nile. Ho-ho! So what are you waiting for? Upgrade your kitchen with Quince. Go to quince.com/dings for free shipping and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. Go to QUINCE.com/dings, DINGS, for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dings. Hello, listener. Producer Mays here to talk to you about the perfect gene. Allow me to be vulnerable here for a minute. As you may or may not know, I've got a lot of childhood trauma, and it almost entirely centers around buying pants. As a lifelong sufferer of tall man syndrome, I've never been able to find a pair of pants that fit in the store. I had to go to those special freak stores, places with more X's than an adult video store. It was a nightmare. But now, the perfect gene has entered my life. They've got 6 fits, a size range from 26 to 50-inch waists, and lengths up to 38, giving you 5,000 plus ways to find your perfect match. So it's not just for my fellow sufferers of TMS, that's tall man syndrome, but thick thigh kings can find their perfect jeans as well. And for a limited time, our listeners get 15% off their first order plus free shipping at theperfectgene.nyc, or just Google The Perfect Gene and use code DINGS15 for 15% off. That's 15% off for new customers at theperfectgene.nyc with promo code DINGS15. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Fuck your khakis and get the perfect gene.
Protein is now at Starbucks, and it's never tasted so good. You can add protein cold foam to your favorite drink or try one of our new protein lattes or matcha. Try it today at Starbucks.
You all think I'm licked. Well, I'm not licked. And I'm going to stay right here and fight for this lost cause, even if this room gets filled with lies like these. And the Taylors and all their armies come marching into this place. Somebody will listen to me.
There's no better way to overpower a trickle of doubt than with a flood of naked truth.
But the complexity and the gray lie not in the truth, but what you do with the truth once you have it.
What is true and right is true and right for all.
You and I both know that that's just not the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
It's too messy. Keeps them up nights.
I'm here because in the end, the truth is worth the risk.
Speak a little truth and people lose their minds.
I'm a grown man. You can tell me the truth.
Why is it people who want the truth never believe it when they hear it?
So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do something really outrageous. I'm going to tell the truth.
Jason, do you ever wonder what would happen to march in the NBA media if there was no draft lottery and if there was no MVP awards to argue about. Because then like anti-tanking policy conversations out. We wouldn't be having this conversation every year. And then also MVP awards, we would just focus on the games. Could the NBA media sustain itself just by talking about the games?
You know, it's so fascinating because this part of the season is easily the toughest part of the season as like a daily NBA content creator, because there's only so many times you can talk about the strengths and weaknesses of each individual team. It's like, thank God Joel Embiid and Paul George came back. Because like when you have like something, it's like, hey, we have something to talk about here for a little bit in terms of something happening on the court. There's only so many times that I can discuss, you know, specifically how Oklahoma City can struggle with offensive rebounding sometimes, or how like if you rush their shooters, their percentages drop versus when they're wide open, they can be pretty reliable. Or like there's only so many times you can tread that territory. And so thankfully, you know, we've had enough kind of random stories this year, like Houston's collapse, I think has been somewhat interesting, although they've turned it around as Şengün. Yeah, Jason Tatum back. The Lakers like randomly go, like I've had a major issue with Lakers fans, like the revisionist history pretending like they weren't terrible pre All-Star break, as if they didn't get their butt kicked literally every time they played a good team for 50 games. But having enough of that has made it a little easier this year. But there are some years where it's even worse, where you don't have that intriguing post-deadline story and it can get into the morass this time of year. I've actually done more college basketball stuff than ever before this year, just because I'm looking for things to kind of kill the time. It's definitely one of those dog days of the regular season eras right now.
Yeah, but I think it's... Look, the tanking fixes is the stuff that gives me an aneurysm, but like the MVP conversation, I think is a good thing that we have this many worthy candidates. Like there's a different argument for all these guys, whether it's Shea, whether it's Luka, Jokic, Victor Wembanyama, like Jaylen Brown, obviously. Like I like where we're at on this. What I don't like is that the specter of the 65-game rule is threatening to put a damper on all this conversation. And, you know, I've always thought it was a dumb rule. I've said it from the beginning. But, Jason, I'm curious, do you think it feels like we're going to avert the absolute disaster of all these guys being ineligible. But had it happened, do you think that would have compelled the league to change that rule?
You know, I think it might have compelled them to tweak it. I mean, so the idea behind the rule, right, is you're trying to get the marginal indecision, like the decision between I'm healthy and good to go and I am hurt and I cannot go. You want those games to tilt more towards guys playing, right? Like that's the idea. And I'd argue that has worked. I mean, there's a reason why Jokic and Wemby and Luka and all these guys are playing every damn game here down the stretch of the season. It's because they literally have to. But I think they could have made potentially, like, I think if you saw all these guys miss, they might have been like, how about we make it 60 instead of 65? I don't necessarily think it was the spirit of the rule that had an issue. It was more just the number started to clash with the simple fact that the NBA right now is so athletic, so up and down. I think even just within the half court, the amount of ground coverage that there is as guys are rotating to shooters and playing drive and kick basketball, there's just so much that's stressing the body that it was leading to legitimate breakdown injuries. Like Luka has a breakdown soft tissue injury. Obviously Shea in the form of his abdominal injury. Giannis can't hold up anymore. Jokic has his first knee injuries. Like there's just so many injuries that were piling up that like they need to find that sweet spot. And it looks like 65 might work, but I think if they ended up after a 3-5 year sample having multiple years where some of the best players in the league are missing All NBA or missing MVP, I think they might drop it to 60. But I don't think that it's an issue with the rule. It's just you try something and you make tweaks as you get more data. And this year is a data point that's relatively low. But to your point, I mean, it looks like these guys are all going to make it. So it might not be that big of a deal.
I just don't think we need a rule. And also, if the 65-game rule is being measured and its success is being measured on that 4 candidates, these top 4 candidates are still in the running, that's fine. But we can't ignore the elephant in the room that we are seeing the injury crisis reach to extreme levels where the guys are playing 60% of the games now. And a lot of that is because I think downstream effects of the 65 game rule is that if they're injured to the point where they're disqualified from the 65 game qualification, they'll just pull the plug on the season and just say like, yeah, I'm just out. And so we see Trae Young, Anthony Davis, Giannis is trying to come back, obviously. But I just think we can't ignore that these guys are missing so many games. Stars are missing so many games now. And yes, the top 4 candidates are playing every night right now. But I don't know. When NBC and ESPN and Prime are showing these games, a lot of times, Jason, they're having to go for like the 4th string guy as like the face of the game. And it's hard to know, like, it's Spurs,
and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah, exactly. And so I don't know how long that's sustainable. And maybe Adam Silver in the league doesn't care about that, but I can probably guarantee you that the TV partners care about that.
Yeah, I've always thought when we've discussed shortening the season, we've over-indexed towards like game volume being the main driver of revenue versus game quality. I mean, like, I think the NCAA tournament is the best example of this. The thing makes $1 billion and you win 6 games to win the tournament. And obviously there's a high volume of games in that first weekend, but the point is it's the quality of the hoops that drives the viewership, that drives the advertising revenue, that drives everything that makes money about the NCAA tournament. And like, we can take this a step further when we talk about tanking, because like, I just think it's really stupid to ever have a team that's intentionally losing play against a team that's trying to win. I think that's like a fundamental flaw in NBA scheduling. But like when you have a schedule that is naturally, even though guys know they need to play in order to get all NBA, which is now directly affecting their income, like they need to play and they're still not playing in a lot of these cases. Like Cade, like legitimately is missing the end of the season. Now his injury is more fluky. He took a knee to the rib cage. But the point is like these guys want to play under the circumstances and they can't because their bodies aren't allowing them to. At what point do we acknowledge that the schedule is what's causing that? And if we could get to a situation where maybe there's a 20% decrease in game volume, but there's a 20% increase in game quality, either through intensity because of how much it matters in the standings, to the star participation, and I'd argue star participation on a possession-to-possession basis. Like just getting the guys to actually care and play hard. Like we've all seen the game where it's a big national TV game and it happens to break right where like the guys are healthy, there's a decent amount of rest on either side of the game for both teams, and it happens to matter in the standing. So take, for example, like Lakers-Rockets, the second one when Şengün played, or that Rockets-Wolves catastrophe where both teams tried to lose at the end. Like when you get those types of games, they are remarkable television products. They capture that feel of an NBA playoff game. And if we could somehow replace lost inventory with that amount of increased intensity and quality of the games, I don't see how that wouldn't cancel out some of the financial downside that comes with the loss in volume, especially when you factor in like you can continue to give the national TV partners the same amount of games. And it would just end up costing in the regional television department, which is already kind of flawed and falling apart to begin with. Yeah.
You coming right at Tom right now?
Hold on. Hold on now.
Let's hear it, Tom. Let's hear it.
I'm just saying, Blazers, Clippers tonight. Catch it on Blazer Vision. We got Neil Everett live in LA for that game, which has huge implications on the play-in tournament. No, I totally agree with you that there's some wiggle room here, that I feel like there is some slack in the system. I have a story out right now, or coming out right now, on Yahoo Sports about the new stratification of the league that now there's a B league and an A league.
Right.
We've because of the play-in tournament and the tanking, we've now subtly created two different leagues. Like you said, there's teams trying to win and there's teams trying to lose. And never before have we seen it so stratified, where there's a 10-game gap between the 10 seed in the East and the 11 seed. There's a 10-game gap between the 10 seed in the West and the 10 seed in the... We've never seen that large of a gap in NBA history.
I always push back. That's not the norm, though. That's not like this is a very specific set of circumstances that involves a draft class that is widely regarded to be not only very top heavy, but deep. Like that, wherever you're picking, you're going to get some incredible talent. You've got more than a handful of teams that were placed in this. Like, so Indiana is not here because of some strategic decision. And matter of fact, they and the Heat are probably the two organizations that are most anti-tanking in the entire NBA. They're here because they're hurt. And their year started so awfully that there was no point in trying to come back and make a passionate run or whatever. I think kind of, sort of, you could say the same thing about the Wizards. Like I don't know how much the Wizards intended to be this bad to start the season. Milwaukee, for certain,
I totally disagree with you on that. I totally disagree
about the Wizards or about the Bucks.
Wizards, yeah.
I don't think they were trying to be bad to start. I think they started and they're like, "Holy shit, we're awful."
So you think they wanted to be the Hornets, kind of thing? Yeah,
absolutely. I think looking at how they ended the year last year, they thought, okay, this is the year where we make a push for maybe the play-in. And then shit happens, and it's just like, never mind. Which, by the way,
the top 8 protected pick was never a new thing. That was always there.
Yeah.
So,
but I don't think they set out to be a bottom 8 team. I think at some point you realize, hey, this pipe dream we have, not going to happen. So we might as well lean into it and make sure we keep that pick, which, by the way, is usually how tanking happens in our league. It's very rare do you have an organization that says, like Utah, for example, like punt on the whole year before it's even started. Or like Philly a few years ago, punt on several years before any of them have started. Usually, like if you look at right now, Sacramento, Dallas, Memphis, Indiana to start the year, Chicago, Milwaukee, and I'll throw in Washington, but I'll keep Washington out just to for the sake of argument, keep Washington out. The teams I all named, they all thought they were going to be playing meaningful basketball right now when they started their season. And then shit happens. And then you have to make a business decision. Do I fight against hopelessness, or do I lean into it and get a benefit out of it? And that's the part where I'm like, none of the stuff that we're talking about as far as tanking fixes ever really address that.
Yeah. When I looked at those 3 anti-tanking proposals, and they were described as radical, the third one, which was like the 5x5 rule, didn't seem radical at all to me. It was just the bottom 5 teams are now the same odds in getting the number 1 overall pick. And it seemed like, yes, they're bringing in playoff teams into this, but I don't know what you think, Jason.
The radical part is the second lottery. You know what's better than one lottery? 2 lotteries.
Jason, are you with me on this? Is that we cannot have a solution that requires a manual to explain to people? That can't be the solution.
Absolutely. Like when it comes to the odds and all of the different ways that they can put the odds together, it literally doesn't matter how much they flatten the odds. Teams that are bad will be incentivized to drop and to try to get into that bottom tier, whatever that tier is, to try to get a top pick. I mean, Victor Wembanyama, when he's on the floor this year, the Spurs are plus 645 and they're minus 27 when he's off.
He's 22
how can you not think that a top pick is your best pathway to transform your fortunes? So regardless of how they flatten the odds, you're naturally going to end up with teams gravitating towards the bottom. It is a completely unavoidable problem. Now, so I want to pitch this. I've pitched this on Twitter the other day, but I don't want you to think of it more as a practical thing. I want you to think of it as more of a thought exercise, because we can all acknowledge the practical limitations of this sort of thing. To Amin's point, I do think that if you're a Wizards GM, you're like, we go into the season and we think, let's see what these guys got.
Yeah.
And then you make a judgment call. And if, like, for instance, if the Hornets had not flashed the way that they flashed, I do think they probably end up tanking towards the tail end of the season and giving Khan a ton of touches and finding a reason to bench LaMelo and like doing all these different things to try to just accentuate player development and getting towards the bottom of the standings. You have these two phases of the season. Tom, you made the point that there's like two leagues. I agree. There's also like two phases to the season. There's the beginning of the season when you're all full of piss and vinegar and you're like, we're going to go out there and show everybody what we got and we're going to demonstrate where we're at in our development. And it's kind of like, even for the teams that are like dead serious, really well run, it's an educational period where you take in a bunch of data about where your team is at in their development. I'd argue, especially in that first couple of months of the season, that's the stretch of the season when effort level is most consistently high around the league. So that's when you can get a lot of the great data. That's why a lot of NBA history tells us it's the teams that start great that are great playoff teams, not the teams that end great that are great playoff teams, right? So like the way I look at it, I pitched this idea the other day. Just imagine a universe where everybody plays everybody twice in the first chunk of the season. So what's that, 58 games or whatever 58 it is? Games, okay. Yeah. Everybody plays everybody twice. So all the owners get to have, Luka and LeBron and Wemby and all the different stars come into their arena once, right? So everyone gets satisfied in terms of feeling like they're a part of the NBA. Then you stop, you have the All-Star break. Make it as long as it needs to logistically handle it. But have at that point, the bottom 5 teams from both conferences basically break off into that second league. And if they're going to intentionally lose, and I don't care what you do with the draft odds at that point, if you flatten them, if you tier them to where it's like the NFL, where the worst record does get the best pick no matter what, like whatever you decide to do, it doesn't matter. Let them go after the top pick, but let them intentionally lose against each other. let them. Yeah. Well, it's so funny because that night last Friday was so funny to me because I'm like, the stars don't want to be there. Those teams have no interest in being there. They're literally playing crap basketball because they have no interest in being there. Then you're also taking the competitive, hard-playing dudes on the other team and being like, hey, dude, nice job putting your team up by 7. Now go sit down while we intentionally lose this game. It's bad for us watching. It's bad for the young team that's trying to get better, and it's bad for the good team that's trying to play good basketball before the Lakers have to play the Cavs tonight, and they just played the Wizards, the Nets, and the Pacers back to back to back. You think they're going to be playing their best basketball tonight? Like, I'm worried about it. So like, it's one of those things where just, again, as a thought exercise, imagine that sort of temporary relegation situation where you basically are taking all the good teams and having them play playoff tune-ups against each other, jockeying for position, and then having the bottom third teams just play against each other and do their development, tanking, whatever it is that they want to do. Right. I just think it doesn't make any sense to have a dead serious playoff team play a team intentionally losing in March. It just doesn't make any sense. And like, to Amin's point, I don't think you can properly account for the fact that at the beginning of the season, these teams do try to identify where they're at. There's 2 phases to the season. And when that phase shifts, I think we need to shift our approach in how we build the schedule.
In the month of March, the B League teams, so that's 9 teams. I'm not counting New Orleans because they've actually been good for the last 2 months. The bottom 9 teams are 12-98 against the A League teams. So they have a win percentage of 109. 12-98. So every 15 games they get a win against the A League team. So it really is 2 different leagues. Like, I don't know, as a thought exercise, if you took the best G League team right now and said, here's 115 games, how many would they win? Like 5? 10? I mean, it is like breaking out into an A League and a B League that essentially, like the other night, it was Friday night, Sunday, where Blazers were doing the game and Bub Carrington, Trey Johnson didn't play, Alex Sarr didn't play, but Bilal Coulibaly, for 3 straight games, they played like the entire first, second, and third quarters, and then they got sat. And Nate Duncan and Josh Robbins went after and was Coach Keefe was like, dude, how can you justify having Alex Sarr foul out in the third quarter when he's your best player, and you just let him foul out? And he said, well, we got to listen to our medical team, and they hit their minutes limits.
Yeah. That to me, see, and that's the other part that's different, right? Is that once upon a time, tanking wore the disguise of player development. I want to see what my young guys have, right? Let's see what the young guys have. Let's play them out there. But when we've reached a point where we're not sitting vets because we don't have vets, we're sitting Alex Sarr, Trey Johnson, guys who've barely 100 games under their belt in the NBA. They're getting sat. Like, what are we doing? What part of this is even player development? There is, because again, that is a real thing. I really don't want to see, for example, last year, I don't want to see Chris Middleton and CJ McCollum go out there and take shots at her. I want to see what Alex Sarr has. I want to see what Bilal Coulibaly has and all these other guys. But it's like, we're removing even that part of it. You're just here to tank and nothing else. That's the part, and I've always used this analogy of like speeding. We all speed. Everyone here has not only sped, but the last time we were in a car, we sped. But there's a difference between I was doing 55 in a 45 and I was doing 100 in a residential zone. And that's what Washington just did, what Utah did earlier. Like, that's the part that where it becomes like, guys, the only reason we're having these conversations is because teams have done away with the auspices of, well, at least we're trying to do. Nope, we're just tanking. We only exist solely to tank, which is why, Jason, I'm not mad at your relegation idea.
Yeah.
Kick these bum-ass organizations out and tell them only the top two make it. Only the top two make it up. Only the bottom two make it down.
My question is, what happens to those relegated teams? Like, why? You got to give me some kind of motivation to care about what's going on over there at all, or else it's like you've essentially just cut 10 teams out of the league. And like, I know it's already kind of happening, right? Because if these tanking teams are playing, who's tuning in besides super sick, diehard fans who love masochism of watching their team lose? But what's the motivation for the relegated teams?
So I think there are some potential upsides here. Cause like, so for example, now let's say you're on the fringe. So let's say you're now this year is such a bad example to Amin's point, because you have these historic gaps between the 10 and the 11 seeds that make them so outrageous. But imagine, first of all, the first 58 games suddenly become super important. Like, especially if you have an injury, it adds a level of intensity to every game that I think is a value add to the NBA in terms of just regular season intensity.
100%.
Now, if you're on the fringe, let's say you're in 11, let's say there's a 4-team race between 9 and 12. There's a more complicated conversation with ownership where it's like, okay, if I drop into 11 and 12, I get this chance for a top pick. But if I get into that range, all of a sudden my last 26 games, I'm not going to be able to sell tickets as effectively. It's a hurt to the gate revenue. And potentially even to whatever TV deal that you have with your regional broadcaster, right? Similarly, if I'm looking at it the other way, I go, okay, if I go for it here, now I get opportunity for my team to play in higher leverage games, which is better for their development, potentially postseason basketball in the form of the play-in tournament. And I get to have LeBron come to my gate again. And I get to have, Wemby and Giannis and Shea and all these superstars come to my arena again. So it creates more of a complicated decision surrounding the should we go for it or should we not kind of thing. And this is where, like, among the conversation about draft lottery odds, this is where flattening does have an upside. Just as an idea, just imagine a league where suddenly you have these 10 teams that have been cut off of the rest of the league as a temporary relegation for the end of the season, and they each have a 10% shot at the number one pick. Now that suddenly becomes a developmental league. Yes. Now they are going for it. Now there is an incentive to build winning culture. And so whatever you lose in your draft odds, so let's say the difference between you getting like an 18% chance because you had the worst record versus a 10% chance if the odds were flattened, the upside is I'm playing hard for 26 games and my guys are getting great developmental reps and I'm building winning culture, which can translate to future seasons. So I think there are some trickle down effects there that could be positive depending on what you do with the draft odds with that bottom 10.
Is there a world where you can incentivize winning rather than disincentivizing losing? Because I think everything that the NBA is saying is we got to disincentivize the tanking. But Jake Fisher at the Stein line reported that the NBPA has proposed their own ideas that has increased the revenue generation on your wins. Basically, we incentivize winning rather than the cost of tanking. Let's go the other way. Jason, what do you think about that?
So would an owner then be willing to pay whatever that tax is in the form of the revenue share for the sake of improving his draft odds, though? My thing is like, what if you flipped it and you did like a mini season, and then essentially among those 10 teams, the teams that had the best records got the best picks? That would be a problem, though, because then you'd have teams that would intentionally lose to try to win in that 10.
Right.
So that's tough too. So
if I was in
that's tough.
the fringe,
and then can you get, is an owner making more money an incentive for a player to play better basketball too? Like that stuff. I freely admit, and this is Amin said this earlier, like these drive him crazy. It drives me crazy too, because like no matter what you pitch, there's a gaping hole in the idea. like no matter what you pitch. My thing is like, right now it's broken. Right now it's broken. And maybe it won't be as bad when Zachary Rissache is the number 1 overall pick. But like, I am generally of the belief that we should constantly be trying to improve the league. And you want to talk about the game becoming boring in March and us talking about MVP and all these different topics, like March would be a lot more exciting if I think you'd have to do certain things. Like, I don't think you could have guys playing 5 games in 8 nights if they're playing all top 20 teams every single, like the Lakers just went through that and it's a miracle they survived. Like there's a certain amount of like the schedule would have to kind of lighten up somehow in that phase. But like I just don't think it's sustainable for the long-term health of the league to have teams intentionally losing, playing teams that are trying to win. It just is a fundamentally flawed concept.
I think that's the bigger issue to me. It's not teams that are trying to lose. It's just teams that are trying to lose against teams that are jockeying for position for meaningful basketball. So while I get to play the Wizards last night, if I'm the Lakers, meanwhile, Phoenix is playing Orlando, who's also fighting for something. And it's like, oh, how is this fair, right? How is this fair that this part of the schedule is soft for some people versus for other people it's a fight to the death? Having said all that, you've said it. Every system has holes in it. It's speeding. You're never going to get rid of it. We just got to figure out a way where everyone acknowledges you can't do 100 in the residential. And so saying all that, I don't mind solution 1, option 1 of their thing. It's like, hey, flat odds for the 10 that don't make it, and then the remaining 20%, flat odds for the 8 that make to the play-in. Doesn't matter whether you made it to the playoffs or not, doesn't matter. All that matters is that if you were one of these 8 teams in either conference that had to play in the play-in, you get a cut of the lottery odds. No team is going to self-select, would I rather be the 6th seed and have a week off of rest and preparation and know who I'm playing? Or would I rather be the 7th seed and also get a 2.5% chance at a top 5 pick? No team is making that leap. You call it a slippery slope. There is no slope. It's a cliff. They're not jumping off that cliff. Similarly, I don't believe, although I'm less confident about this, that a team would forego playing in the play-in in order to be completely in the bottom. I don't believe. Do you know how
many number 10 seeds have made the playoffs in the play-in era?
0.
It's 1. It was the Miami Heat last year when they got.
The Heat team.
Yeah. Okay,
so 9 out of the 10 number 10 seeds have made it into the playoffs and got completely embarrassed in one of the most lopsided series in NBA history.
Yeah. Tom, would you get rid of the play-in?
See, that's where I'm like struggling. Is I like the play-in, but it has created this like it has contributed to this stratified league where it's the gap typically was playoff teams and then non-playoff teams, but now we're having postseason teams and non-postseason teams. And I really do think that if in that number 1 proposal, I do think teams would tank out of the number 10 spot or the play-in tournament to get into that bottom 10. I really would. Because
so here's the difference. Mm-hmm. You can't all do it.
I know. But that's
right?
that's the thing is in this system what we have now, there's only how many 4 teams can have the top shot of the number 1 overall pick, and yet we have 9 teams that are tanking.
Right.
To get the number 1 overall pick.
There's a lot more happening there. First of all, let me just say, the play-in is the reason why tanking hasn't been as bad in years past, since its introduction. Because teams that in January and February would have been completely out of the playoff picture. Pack it in, play the young guys, all et cetera, et cetera. They still have something to fight for and to live for. In the last few years, we've seen teams like the Houston Rockets 2 years ago, the San Antonio Spurs last year, the Blazers last year. Was it 2-3 years ago? Was it the Wizards? Teams that are like, I could never reach 8, but I can get to 10. And if I get to 10 or 9, I have a little bit of shot. And have used that as a way to develop their young guys to say, hey, this is what meaningful basketball feels like. Even though we fell short of the goal, which is to be a play-in team, you know what it's like. And the next year, usually, we've seen a leap from those teams, from San Antonio this year, Houston 2 years ago, whatever. We see that leap. So I think the play-in has been a good carrot. You guys talk about rewarding winning. It's been a good carrot for that. The problem is, again, once you make the decision that this season is done, then I have to make sure.
Right.
Then I got to make dead sure we're not even close. Because the one thing is, I always believe players want to play and players want to play well. That's the one constant. The part where the trickery happens is when we decide which players are playing.
Yep.
Or how often they're playing. And that's an organizational thing. So when you ask Jason, hey, if we incentivize, give more money to being a postseason team, do the players care? I would say, no, they don't care if their owner makes more money. But they're not the ones who are corrupting the system. It's the owners who are corrupting the system.
Yeah, like those young players do want to win those games before they get pulled. That's gotta. Can you imagine how much that's gotta suck?
Oh, dude.
To be like, I'm in Staples Center hooping, and now I'm out of the game.
Well, you got to protect your health, Jason.
If we knew more about our sleep, what would we do differently? Would we go to bed at a consistent time or take steps to reduce interruptions to our sleep? With Sleep Score, Apple Watch measures your bedtime consistency, interruptions, and sleep duration. Then, every morning it combines these factors into an easy-to-understand score from 1 to 100. So you'll know how to take the quality of your sleep from okay to very high. Know your sleep score with Apple Watch. iPhone 11 or later required.
You know you need fiber for a healthy gut, but do you actually know how to get it? Quaker's been serving up fiber since 1877, with over 100 great-tasting, good source of fiber options to choose from. Whether you like old-fashioned oats, instant oatmeal, granola, or oatmeal squares, Quaker makes it delicious. So good. Get your fiber with Quaker. Shop Quaker's good source of fiber products at a store near you.
Chronic migraine is 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine before they start. It's not for those with 14 or fewer headache days a month. It prevents on average 8 to 9 headache days a month versus 6 to 7 for placebo.
Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Why wait? Ask your doctor, visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com, or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
K-pop Demon Hunters Haja Boys breakfast meal and Huntrix meal have just dropped at McDonald's. They're calling this a battle for the fans. What do you say to that, Rumi?
It's not a battle. So glad the Saja Boys could take breakfast and give our meal the rest of the day.
It is an honor to share.
No, it's our honor.
It is our larger honor.
No, really. Stop.
You can really feel the respect in this battle. Pick a meal to pick a side.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. At participating McDonald's while supplies last.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Listening to this podcast? Smart move. Being financially savvy? Smart move. Another smart move? Having State Farm help you create a competitive price when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling Just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
So I think when we watched Monday night, what went down with the Lakers without Luka Doncic, Jason, we have something for you. It's the debate ender with Jason Gallagher. Okay, Maze, would you like to present what happened on Monday night that is the Luka Doncic disqualifier from the MVP conversation?
Sure. So, Jason, last week, Tom, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Tom is a big asterisk guy. Everything deserves an asterisk.
I always enjoy Tom's asterisk articles.
So last week we did asterisks for all the MVP candidates, and it mostly related to your lineup without the MVP and their success. And we pitched that the Lakers had an excellent opportunity on board with games against the Pacers, the Nets, and the Wizards. Give Luka the night off, blow it, look terrible, MVP conversation locked up. And what do? Luka's out Monday night because of technicals, and they win by 20.
Dumbasses.
What?
Idiots.
What?
It's over. It's over.
And then you got JJ giving this half-assed debate saying, oh, well, you know, 1/3 first of all, his math is off on the amount of time that Luka was the MVP for. But he said that if Luka was the MVP of the first third and this most recent third, then therefore 2/3, obviously Luka's the MVP. Yeah. But what do you think about them blowing this opportunity to lose to the Wizards to really cement the case?
The funniest thing about this whole debate has been all these dudes are awesome and they're all playing incredible. And instead, all we're doing is just ripping all of them down to try to lift another one of them up to make a case. And it's like that, if you go down the line, like the Wemby stuff, possibly the greatest per minute impact in the history of the NBA, possibly. If you dig into like what he's doing defensively and the types of, like, you have a bunch of young guards who really can't shoot and they're just generating amazing looks every time down the floor because you have to send everybody at this guy when he rolls to the rim. Or Shea hitting 52 clutch shots this year and hitting 3 more last night. And like every single game, it's just like, oh, it's a close game late. Shea's just going to hit every damn shot he takes and you're going to lose. Or Luka looking like the best player in the world for the last month, or Jokic looking like the best player of the world in Denver or in December. Like they all have their stretches where they look amazing and we're just spending this time cutting them down. And then now every guy's making their pitch to the media, and like Shea with the most predictable "I let my game do the talking" bit that was bound to come which literally just came because he went last. If he would have been asked first, whoever got asked last would have been the guy who would have said that.
Dropping 47 doesn't hurt either, right?
It doesn't hurt. And that was insane. I don't, like against all those awesome Detroit perimeter defenders too. Just an absolutely outrageous performance from Shea. But yeah, like the thing that's killing me with the Luka piece is like I cover the Lakers most closely because I have my national show, which I cover the entire league. But then I do Lakers Collective with Jovan Buha and Trevor Lane. And so twice a week, we just talk Lakers. And obviously, I root for the Lakers, so they're a team that I watch the most frequently out of any team in the league. And so I vividly remember how I felt about this team at every point in the season. Like, there's no... I can remember every single kind of iteration and era of this team through the line. And like, yeah, there were lineup issues and yeah, there were injuries and roster turnover from last year and various different things that went wrong for the Lakers. But like all season long, even though the Lakers had a good record, everyone thought they were bad, including Lakers fans, because every time they played somebody good, they didn't just lose. They got their ass kicked. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on the show, but like they got their ass kicked. And like, guys, the Golden State Warriors have a better point differential against teams in the top 10 in point differential than the Lakers do this year. And that's after the Lakers went on this run in March where they kicked all those good teams' butts for a while. Like the Lakers were literally getting like, and here's the thing with these top tier superstars, and this is what drives me crazy. You constantly hear people talking about like, well, look at the numbers they're putting up. This goes back to the LeBron James thing. I think LeBron James got ripped off of MVP one time, and it was 2020, the year that the Lakers played a way tougher schedule. And LeBron was just better than Giannis, and they were like 2 or 3 games back in the standings. And Giannis was just beating the crap out of terrible teams every single night and juicing his advanced metrics. And LeBron should have won MVP. But if you talk to LeBron fans, what do they always say? Well, what about 2017? What about 2016, 2018, 2019? Like every LeBron fan thinks he should have won every MVP. Why? Because it's like, did you look at his numbers? He averaged 27, 7, and 7 on 62% true shooting or whatever it is, because he's LeBron James. And in my entire time watching NBA basketball, the true top tier guys always put up monster numbers. They just do. They fill the box score like nobody's business. Even Jokic, Jokic has unquestionably been not close to as good since coming back from his knee injury as he was in December. But you look at his numbers and they're outrageously good because that's what the top tier superstars do. And so what bothers me is I remember watching Luka for that middle huge chunk of the season. And yes, he was putting up numbers, but he was bad defensively. Wasn't all his fault. The team was bad defensively, but Luka was culpable. He wasn't the leader of the team that was setting the tone and trying to get the guys to play hard on defense, and no one was meeting him at that level. That's not what was happening. Okay. And when you go through a stretch where you lose 12 out of 13 games against teams with 60+% win percentages, and your one win is against the Nuggets without Jokic, and you just get your butt kicked in the majority of those games, you don't get to then pull the we're the 3 seed card. Look at where we are in the standings. You guys looked like a good team for 1 month. That's how long you looked like a good team. How many times has a guy held up the MVP trophy when for 5 of the 6 months of the NBA season we're like, nah.
Well, according to JJ Redick, right?
Their first round exit.
According to JJ, it's 2 of the 3 segments of the season. He's been an MVP.
He was good to start the season. He was great to start the season. He was.
15-4 start, 19 games. 14-2 since February 28th. 16 games. That's less than half the games. And he said 2 of the 3 segments of the season.
Well, when you describe it like that, when you say segments of the season, no one's saying how long a segment is. You just start the segment where he was good, segment was bad, and that segment he was good again.
It's just crazy. It's crazy because I remember what it was like. I remember during that stretch doing my Lakers show twice a week. I saw the chat. I saw how Lakers fans were talking about the team. I saw the comments and the fire Rob Pelinka and we need to completely rebuild this roster and all this different stuff. And the thing is it's been really cool. As someone who roots for the team, you don't think I'm having fun right now? I'm having fun. I can't wait for that Cavs game tonight. I enjoy watching the Lakers for the first time in years. This team has been a chore to watch over the course of the last several years that I've been rooting for them. I am as happy as anybody, but why are we pretending like that's not what happened? It blows my mind. And the last thing I'll say about it is again, it's about the standard. I do think what Luka's done with the Lakers in the aggregate this year, even including the stretches where he wasn't as good, has been super impressive. It's not as impressive as what Wemby has done with the Spurs this year, and it's not as impressive as Shea walking down every team in the final 5 minutes of every game. It just hasn't been as impressive. And so, and what bothers me the most is I say Luka might be the best player in the world right now. When he's at his best, I genuinely believe when Luka's got his step back 3 going, he's the best player in the world. And he's playing defense. When he's playing defense and he's got his step back 3 going, there's no player that can reach the level of overall impact as him, because he brings the Steph Curry nuclear 3-point upside of what if he just hits 5 threes in the next 5 minutes. But then he also brings the bully ball, short range shot making that you get from Jokic, and the playmaking that you get from Jokic, the mid range versatility that you get from Shea. And he is an impactful off ball defender when he's engaged. And he's actually been pretty good in ISO this year, a lot better than people think. But his ceiling is his ceiling. It's not what he was at for the majority of this season. And I think it's okay to be Luka might be the guy right now, but he's not the MVP. And it's just been crazy to me to see the stuff that I've seen from Lakers fans in the last few days. The revisionist history has been out of control.
Dude, you know what we're doing? We're doing James Harden arguments from 7 years ago. It's exactly the same thing that happened. Remember that first Giannis versus Harden year, and Harden said, "Oh, if I wish I was 6'11", I could just truck everybody."
Oh
or whatever.
My God, I clipped that last week, and the ending of that interview is so sad. I mean, because Rachel Nichols is like, "You think a title is going to turn this around for you?" He's like, "Yeah, and I'm gonna get it."
Oh no, I forgot all about that, Andy. Nope. But it was the same thing that season because I was a voter that year, and I remember I voted Giannis over Harden, and people would ask me why. I said because look, Harden has had, if you remember, right after the All-Star break, he was crazy towards the end of that season, and I said, man,
was that the 40-point stretch where he was?
I said his peak has been higher than Giannis's peak this entire season, but he started this season horseshit. And the one thing I can say about Giannis is like, however you want to quibble about his game or what he's done, it's like he's been consistently that guy from opening tip on opening night all the way through the last game of the regular season, whereas Harden did a lot of this right here.
Well, that's because Giannis is 7 feet tall and all he's got to do is run and dunk.
And also Harden had been better in 2 out of the 3 segments of the season, depending on how
and Daryl pointed that out.
But it's even like the shit you were saying. I'm listening to you. You're like, when he's got that 3-pointer going, I'm like, kind of like Harden when he had like there are nights where Harden that step back 3 is like it's unstoppable, and then there are nights where it's like I'm glad he didn't drive, and there's a reason, and that's why he shoots 36% from 3 and not 40%. And so
this is
Even like, hey, he's been better defensively. A lot of people are not giving him credit defensively in the ice. I was like, that's a Harden. These are all the same arguments he made for Harden 7 years ago. And by the way, they can all be true. Yeah, he's an incredible player. But is he more consistently incredible, whether it's Harden or Doncic, than Jokic, than Wembanyama, than Shea, and if it weren't for a stupid rule, Cade Cunningham? And my answer would be no.
Well, isn't this all an argument for shortening the season, that we wouldn't have this memory hole phenomenon that Jason's talking about?
You just
this amnesia of what the Lakers were for like 50% of the season.
Wait, what about the do you guys see Mark Cuban's thing? So Mark
cut it down to 40.
The 40-minute rule back, but he broke it down in a way so you take those 8 minutes multiply 82. There's your 20 games. Voila. Yeah. I was like, what?
You're welcome, nerds. Fixed it.
So insane, man.
Jason, Wemby started the whole campaigning thing, and his points were excellent, and he's clearly the most valuable politician, but how much do you think that should play a part in the decision? Like advocating for yourself, media perception, like quotes in the media, stuff like that.
0, frankly.
Okay.
Like, I just think every personality, like, I don't think Shea should get credit for playing the cool guy last night after either. Like, I think it should be strictly a basketball argument. And like, I think one of the things that I think is fascinating about the Spurs case too is like, I know that there was a range of opinions about the Spurs. I was actually on the lower end with them, and I ended up being spectacularly wrong. But even the people that were high on the Spurs were like, maybe they'll be the 4 seed or the 5 seed. Like they'll be above the play-in this year, and they might compete in a first round series. Like
50
nobody
wins
saw them. Yeah, they're churning out wins like nobody's business, and they are like a legitimate like 1 in 3 shot of being the 1 seed. If the Lakers can get one of these games against the Thunder, it's basically like the Thunder drop one more game and the Spurs went out, they get the 1 seed, right? And like Wemby's just a very eloquent, very smart guy, and he laid out his case very well, but it's a strong case, which is essentially like, I think what gets really difficult with Wemby is it kind of reminds me of Nikola Jokic's case, where with Nikola Jokic, there wasn't some obvious thing you were watching like a James Harden averaging 37 points per game that was like this screams off of the stat sheet, screams off of the screen type of thing. With Jokic, it was very much like actually there's an overall team impact with him that is difficult to quantify unless you really dig into the fact that this offense just scores a ton. I'd argue the same thing with Steph. Like, I think Steph Curry has been one of the most fascinating, underrated players in the league over the last few years, because he, like, everyone just looks at his points per game dropping and they're like, oh, Steph is washed. And it's like, Are you aware that when Steph's on the floor this year, they have a 119 offensive rating? That garbage roster, they have a 119 offensive rating when Steph's on the floor this year per cleaning the glass when you filter out the garbage time, including the stretch. If you look at last year where Jimmy Butler was only a part of the team post-deadline, they had a 120 offensive rating with Steph Curry on the floor because, once again, just the simple fact of Steph running around on the floor and everyone being terrified of him is still one of the most effective drivers of quality shots in the NBA. And so there's so much with Wemby that I think breaks people's brains because he averages 24 points and 3 assists. And they see that and they go, how in the world? And I love Nick Wright. And I do actually agree with Nick Wright's point that Wemby should not be getting best player in the world consideration, because every single year I sit down and I watch that opening weekend of playoff basketball. Every single year I'm like, oh yeah, this is different. It's like so much more physical. Like, it's hilariously more physical. And so
was the catchphrase last year?
Do I think Wemby's going to be great as a playoff player? Yes. But I think it's okay to be like, let's make him do it first before we literally give him the crown. So like, I agree with Nick in that sense. But like when Nick was like, oh, it's because Wemby hasn't been able to consistently score 30, I just disagree with that as a thought process. Like, I think when you dig into it, this was a team that people had somewhere between the 5 and 8 seed in the Western Conference coming into the season, most people, in terms of what they expected. And instead, they're threatening for the number 1 overall seed, despite having a rookie in their rotation and a second-year player in their rotation and a lineup that doesn't have a ton of shooting. And like, really, like, you're not going to quantify any of their other rotation players as a top 25 player. The closest guy is De'Aaron Fox, and he's probably in that 25 to 30 range. And, you know, Steph Castle, depending on what he does in the postseason, maybe he'll be viewed as a top 20 player next year. But like, he doesn't have some obvious other ace in the hole on the roster. And yet when he's on the floor, they are as dominant as any great team has ever been. And when he's off, they are negative. They're negative. And he is doing more. In just his minutes, he has accomplished enough to take a team that's negative when he's off and make them a legitimate threat for the number 1 overall seed. So like,
no, see, you're way off. When he's off the floor, when he doesn't play, Jason, don't you know that they're 10-5? The Spurs are. This is Luka. Luka could have had the only MVP case where when he's off the floor, his team has a losing record, but they blew it. They absolutely blew it on Monday night. So it is crazy. So I picked Wemby before the season to win MVP. I did it last year too, just because I think he's that incredible and transcendent of a player. But it is wild. Jason, you keep saying per minute, and I think that's his best case, is just like his impact when he's on the floor. He is 4th on his own team in minutes per game. Did you realize that Devin Vassell, De'Aaron Fox, and Stephon Castle all average more minutes per game than who many people believe is the greatest player in the world? And he only plays like 29 minutes. And a lot of that is because they're blowing teams out of the building and he doesn't need to play in the fourth quarters, which is the same argument for Shea. But he's in a position right now where he's not going to even come close to 2,000 minutes. And it's a bizarre thing to see when Victor Wembanyama is as good as he is, and yet he's maybe playing 30 minutes a night. Maybe.
I think that would be a detriment to him if I just simply am arguing that his per minute effectiveness is so outrageous that it cancels that out. And like, again, Giannis won MVP playing barely over 30 minutes per game in 2020, playing against a substantially worse schedule. Like, that was an extremely weak bottom of the Eastern Conference that year. Like, you got that bottom 7 or 8 teams was like a guaranteed 20-point W that year in the Eastern Conference. And again, the Bucks were playing all those teams 3 or 4 times. Like, legitimately a huge chunk of their schedule was getting bolstered by him just beating the crap out of bad teams. And it's like, in this packed Western Conference, Wemby's been able to accomplish this in that small sample. And like, I don't think I said this on my show the other day. I think if San Antonio gets the 1 seed, he should win MVP. Because when you actually quantify the simple fact that he would get the number 1 overall seed in the NBA, despite the team being negative when he's off the floor because of what he's able to accomplish on a per minute basis, while also having the huge feather in his cap of like taking a juggernaut OKC team and not just beating them, but embarrassing them multiple times and utterly dominating that individual matchup. Like, I think I always look at the MVP case as like a 3-pronged approach. Like, who's the best player? Who's the best player on the best team? And who's the most valuable player? He's got the clear value case just because when you're second in raw plus minus and 103rd in minutes played, that's like insane. That is like absolutely outrageous. So you've got the value piece there. The who's the best player case, like, if he gets the number 1 overall seed with the amount of and that Spurs team is very good, but like obviously that Thunder team is really good and he won that individual matchup, and you have the fact that he has the best record in the NBA, it just becomes an extremely compelling case.
Yeah, I think 2 years ago, Joker beat out Shea and they had the same record. And then the next year, the Thunder are clearly the 1 seed and Shea wins the MVP. I think it does absolutely provide a lane for Wemby to steal it if he can get the 1 seed. If he doesn't,
it won't even be close. It won't even be close. If the Spurs win the number 1 overall seed, he will win it.
Luka would need to do that for him.
Yeah. Yeah. But so that's part of the case, though, that I think is fascinating. So if part of the shine on Shea's case is like, I don't know about you guys, but I think Shea's the best player I watched this year, probably. And I think a lot of people agree. He's got this aura around him that's like, maybe he's just the best dude. But like, if Luka rolls up into his building on Thursday and outplays him, and then they beat him again in LA, all of a sudden that shines off the apple for Shea. And that kind of knocks him in that best player in the world kind of segment of the debate. So like, it's kind of interesting because, yeah, you're right. Like, I don't think Luka has any shot to win MVP, but I do think he has a shot to win Wemby MVP.
He can take it away from Shea.
This is
philosophically, how do you guys feel about like the whole, should it go to the best player on the best team versus most because like my whole thing with that, my 10-second take on it is like, just because Russ won it in 2017 doesn't mean he should have.
Right. But
I voted for Russ in 2017, and the reasoning that I had was I know his team was like 45 wins, 47 wins, something like that. There was a 6 seed. I said, I saw something that I never thought I'd see in my lifetime, which is someone averaging a triple-double. I didn't realize at the time the game...
His candidacy would be about clutch scoring, not that, though. Like, that year, his clutch scoring was outrageous.
Right. Well, it's also it's a criteria thing. The point is, if you're strictly speaking most valuable, I mean, you were right. That's what I mean, but the philosophical conversation. Would you guys rather have it go to like an MVP candidate on a top seed or like strictly the most valuable player?
I've always gone with you have to have been in the conversation for one of the best records. Like if you're out of it, I can accept that you're an amazing player. I cannot give you MVP. Unless you do something that just breaks my brain.
Okay, does Jokic leading the league in rebounds and assists per game, would that break your brain?
For the first time ever.
And shooting 58% from the field and being top 5 in scoring and shooting almost 40% from 3, or if not 40+% from 3.
Having his best statistical season.
And also, his team isn't that far off, right? Like, that's the other thing. It's like, yeah, they are the 4 seed, right? But they're like, what?
They're a game and a half back of the Lakers.
From the 3 seed, right? So it's like, okay, that would enter the conversation for me in terms of candidacy, right? But if they were to drop, like if they were to be the 5 or the 6, and I mean that in terms of not just the seeding, but also that gap in from you being towards the top, I don't know if I could. Even as I acknowledge that that's pretty fucking crazy what he's doing.
Jason, I appreciate you coming on here and waxing poetic about 2 topics that I feel like we're already keeled over at this point. We got like 5-6 more games to go on the season, and it should be fun. We'll see how this MVP shakes out. You want to plug all the stuff that you're doing these days, and appreciate you coming on, man.
First of all, thanks for having me. I had a ton of fun. It was good to see you guys. And it's just been a very interesting debate that I've been very keyed up on in the last couple of days. So I've enjoyed the platform to get and debate it with you guys. Hoops Tonight on YouTube. Obviously, I'm most active on Twitter at _JasonLT. But yeah, we just do daily NBA content. And then when we get in the postseason, we do reactions after literally every single game live on YouTube at night. So get ready for that playoff kind of shift in schedule as we shift to night. But again, I had a ton of fun. It was good to see you guys. How are we feeling about Mandalorian and Grogu?
You know, it's a good question. The framing of everything being basically trying to explain how Palpatine returned helps all of these disparate stories.
Whoa, spoiler alert.
I didn't even hear about that yet.
It's not much of a spoiler, Tom.
Amin's a little bit more deep cut than me, which is saying something because I'm into it.
Somehow, Palpatine returned, Tom. You've heard of that meme?
Sure.
Somehow?
Yes.
So all of these shows that have come out, and now I guess this movie, have all been devoted to explaining this somehow. And so it gives it purpose, but I'm just worried, man, there's been a lot of meddling throughout a lot of these things other than Andor. I'm just worried about the meddling. I'm worried about, can we make sure we've got enough for the kids? Hey, can we bring this character back? And I'm just like, no, tell a good story. Tell a good story, and that'll solve and save everything. So I'm tepid. I'm going to go see it.
Instead of trying to clean up a bad story, just tell a good story. Yeah.
Well, no, I don't mind telling a good story to clean up a bad story. I mind when fan service rears its head.
Yeah.
Because that's not a story at all. That's just,
I agree.
Wouldn't it be cool if this happened? Like, that's the impulse they got to get rid of. Wouldn't it be cool if?
Yeah, that's where it goes off the rails. I personally am more excited for Ahsoka season 2 than I am for this movie, but I'm such a Star Wars fan that you bet your ass I'm going to be there, and I'm going to be there with an open mind, and
And watch everything. There's no part of me that's going to wait for it to come out on streaming. I'm going to go. I'll be there on the first day.
Oh my God, man. I'm right there with you.
Tom, you're excited too.
All right, let's do the show.
It continues an act of desperation, but Kathy Kennedy's out though, Jason.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how Dave Filoni can change the direction of this whole thing. I'm personally of the opinion that to Amin's point, I'm cool with them trying to fix the bad story with a good story. But whenever they finish that up, it's time to start fresh. One of the biggest problems that I have is everything's underneath the Skywalker umbrella now, which makes it lack the importance and the intensity of the main story. So like, I think it's time to go to where they can build a new umbrella, if that makes sense. Yeah. Essentially go into a whether it's forward or whether it's backwards, I don't care. But it's time to start fresh, because like even when you're watching things like Ahsoka, it's like there's a reason she hasn't appeared in any of the movies. So like she's clearly a subsidiary character. You're telling a story. Thrawn is a subsidiary character. You're operating in the subsidiary, instead of moving to a realm where you can tell something new and tell, like even the Acolyte, for all of it, the criticism that went with it, which I actually enjoyed it, but like even for the Acolyte, like at the very least, you're telling something that is telling the story of the most important thing happening in the galaxy at that point. You know what I mean? Like you're telling the upper level story.
But that's what Amin was talking about. They nitpicked that show to death. And they killed it.
I still watch episode 5 all the time. It's so good.
It's amazing. But she didn't get to operate freely. Like they noted her to death.
Yep.
And then they canceled it.
He had a Wendy at the strip club.
Hell yeah, dude.
I'm zooming in. Tom, you live?
Sorry, what?
Tom, what are your thoughts, man?
Man, I loved everything you said there. And I would just say Luke's father, great storyline.
You learned that from Tommy Boy.
Classic.
Yeah. I for sure knew what he was talking about and all the other Star Trek and Star Wars references and all the 90s movies. And Jason, I'm like the weirdest nerd that has not watched Star Wars. Like the Venn diagram is exactly one person overlap, and it's me.
Can I interpret that to mean that you liked Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones and other kind of fantasy stuff?
Nope. I just wasn't a fantasy guy.
Numbers, calculators.
So it's not just a Star Wars thing. You're not fantasy. Okay. I'm like big into fantasy. Like I read the Silmarillion this summer.
My older brothers basically raised me in terms of like my interests and stuff. So I blame this all on them, that I wasn't into Lord of the Rings. I wasn't into Star Trek, Star Wars. Nope. Nothing. Harry Potter, sure, I read like 2 of the books.
What, like book 3 and book 5? What do you mean?
just hop in.
Yeah.
Dip my toes.
I did not watch the movies, but I do want to watch the HBO show. That's going to be my opportunity to like give Harry Potter a real shot.
My daughters are super into Harry Potter, but my wife, she's basically cornered the market where she's reading the Harry Potter books to the kids. And I'm not allowed to take part in this because she is so obsessed with Harry Potter that she's like, this is my shit right here. Get the fuck out.
Wow. Territorial.
Yeah.
She's co-opting the moment.
I thought you were banned because she didn't want you to ruin the whole experience. I was like, I'm not into this stuff. I've only read 2 of the books.
Or reading it very unenthusiastically to ruin it for the kid.
Yeah. The right window treatments change everything. Your sleep, your privacy, the way every room looks and feels. At Blinds.com, we've spent 30 years making it surprisingly simple to get exactly what your home needs. We've covered over 25 million windows and have 50,000 5-star reviews to prove we deliver. Whether you DIY it or want a pro to handle everything from measure to install, we have you covered. Real design professionals, free samples, zero pressure. Right now, get up to 45% off site-wide, plus get a free professional measure at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions apply.